Should social media be banned for children? Should new rules be implemented? There's a lot of talk going on in Malta, in the European Union, in the world, really. And with us today is Cherise Sultana, the president of KNZ, the National Youth Council. Cherise, should social media be banned for children and teens?
So, as KNZ, we said that we need to move past this blanket ban and go more into a safety by design. So, why the safety by design? First things first, social media hasn't been with us for that long to actually ban it. So, let's regulate it first. And we need to go to the companies. So, the companies have to be regulated. As it is right now, it's not that much. Why? Because companies are doing certain websites that they are not for children or made at least for children's safety. And that is why KNZ is taking this approach to it, because we cannot have a blanket ban on it. And also there are different other things. Why? We have vote 16 in Malta, so then democratic participation comes in. You have 14 to 16 that they're learning more about democracy, what's happening. You know, I know TikTok is not the best thing to actually learn, but let's face it, most young people are learning things through TikTok. So if you're going to restrict them from using certain social media, even through campaigns, like from Facebook, for example, you're limiting their knowledge and their education. And also 16-year-olds, if they're going to run for an election, they don't have money. They don't have any financial background, so they need social media to do their whole campaign for free. So that is like, there's multiple factors, you know, but those main things came to mind for Malta. And also, we're an island. Like, you're restricting young people from speaking to other people outside. And even, not only that, like, seeing social media, yes, there's the bad side of it, but there is good side to it. So we need to not always speak about the bad side, you know? So
Yeah, of course. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, that's you made a couple of very good points. I mean, especially I think the fact that you know, if youths want to get into politics and now social media is the main platform, and if they're not allowed to use it, you're basically giving them a massive disadvantage. At the same time, we're saying we want to promote youths' civic engagement as well. But what about, you're talking about 16-year-olds here? What about even younger children? Like, at what age should a child be allowed to use social media? Because yes, there is the good stuff, but there is also the negative stuff. I mean, you can't be just scrolling along and you can see like the photos of murder, people promoting all sorts of things.
It's even more insidious. You know, you have phenomena like, you know, the Spider-Man videos on YouTube that are actually quite X-rated, but the thumbnail looks like it's for kids. You've seen these things?
And
you know, there's lots of these famous Marvel characters, Looney Tunes characters, that the thumbnail looks like it's family friendly, and then it's got like the strangest, weirdest adult content. So, you know, how do you kind of protect children against that?
So what we were discussing is this. So as it is right now, you can do a Facebook account at 13. So it remains that way. Obviously, you cannot protect everyone, but that is why I went that we need to regulate the companies. Why? Because if, as a parent, I'm doing the dashboard for my child not to see certain contents, it needs to be followed. And not it will be like under certain thumbnails that they are like, I don't know, false thumbnails, like that type. But obviously, for parents to actually navigate through this dashboard, they need to actually know how to do it. Because we have a lot of parents that they don't have any type of digital literacy. So that's why I went back to the regulating the companies and what they're doing. Because obviously, you can never protect everyone. And that's why there's this big thing right now, like these past few months, we're hearing a lot about child safety. Because we've been seeing a lot of things. Even like child safety is touching upon different things, like, for example, the chat control that they were speaking about this week, for example. Yes, it will help for children's safety, but at the end of the day, we're speaking about privacy as well. So it's like a sword, you know, like from both ends. Crazy. So it's, tell you the truth, when it comes to these things, it's really difficult. And even to navigate and like infinite scrolling, you can never know what you're going to actually see on social media. But yes, we said maybe restricting companies, like teaching more about the parental dashboard that there is. I don't know. That's what we were speaking about.
Tools for parents.
Yeah, tools
Do you
for
agree with
parents.
do you agree with what the EU is saying now? That tools like infinite scroll, like video autoplay, the fact that you scroll past the video and it starts playing automatically, it should be phased out of these platforms, and that okay, we shouldn't ban them, but we should change the way they function. Do you agree with this?
Like doing a turn off by default, so it's not automatic. If you want it to stop, you can turn it off.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. So we fully comply with what the EU is saying on that part, because if I don't want to autoplay it, and if, for example, my child is using her phone, for example, and like I can, like by default, stop her from seeing certain things automatically, it would be really good. Even like push notifications, why shouldn't I stop them?
Yeah.
They keep coming up and
Absolutely.
up, so we do, like on that part, yes, but on the social ban, no. As in, I think we need to have more serious talks about this.
Yeah. What's it like growing up? I mean, how old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay, so you don't remember a world before social media.
I do remember.
You do?
I
Glimpses.
do. Glimpses. I still remember having my first Nokia phone, the one of the
brick.
yeah, the brick.
3310. Now.
Yes, that one. When I was like 7 for my Holy Communion as a gift. So yes, but then I remember like when I was 11, the new phones, like
Touchscreen,
the
really
touchscreen
touchscreen.
ones, yes. So I do remember our world, like we used to go and play outside with our bicycles. So it was really different.
Kinsman.
Yes, exactly. That can mean. And like I used to love playing with my Playmobiles, for example. So
Physical world.
yeah, exactly, the physical world. So yes, I do remember.
Now we don't even have physical PlayStation discs anymore.
So true. What a disaster. We're going backwards, not forwards.
But I mean, you speak to a lot of youth who are even younger than you, like 18, 19, who literally grew up with social media as being something normal. This is something like I really can't really wrap my head around because it's never happened to me. Like growing up, and this is already in existence. What do these people tell you? Is it how do these people relate to social media? That's something that's part of their lives. It's something they don't like. What's the main takeaway?
I think something that I understood from speaking a lot of like young people, like 16-year-olds and younger as well, because like they are actually living, even 18-year-olds, but they are living in it now, is that they don't know how to navigate it, even though they actually are being brought up in it. They're not being educated the right tools to navigate it. Because we think, a lot of old people will be like, even adults, be like, oh, they're like being born in it, so they know how to actually utilize it, they know what to do and everything. But in reality, they're just put in it.
Yeah.
So there's not this type of education. So for them to understand certain information from right or wrong and all of this, you need to give them the tools and teach them. Yeah. That's why we need to stop like going back to schools and stopping this type of, you should be scared of social media, AI, don't use those things,
Yeah.
Because you cannot just scare them, you need to teach them. So that is one takeaway that I took, that I was like, like you'll be a little bit astonished why like they don't know how to navigate it in reality.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
So obviously there is the negative side, also the positive side, right? What are the positive things that maybe people sometimes miss out on in this whole discussion on social media? Not just people, even like the EU, and when it starts talking about how dangerous social media is for youths in particular. What do they miss out on?
Speaking about Malta directly, sometimes we forget that we live on an island. So let's look at that, And if you cut social media, what do we have? As in, we have a lot of things left.
We have dingy cliffs, we have things, so yeah.
But in reality, that will connect us with the outside world on what's happening outside. We have it through mainly social media.
Absolutely.
So I'm just looking at that. I think that is a big positive for us.
Yeah.
So
I think Malta's always at risk of being this insular country. Historically, Malta's always literally been on the periphery. I think even when we were growing up, I remember having MSN.
Yes, of
course.
MSN Messenger.
yes.
And I was like 10, 11, 12 at that time, right? So it was a Wild West. It did feel, but it felt very fresh. And you were connecting with
there was
people
something else before MSN as well. I forgot it was
High Five,
but
what
no, not High Five. It was not the messenger app.
there we
It was even wilder than MSN.
I'm sure.
I don't remember.
AOL, that one. Yes.
MRC as well, going back to the 90s, to the dawn of the internet. But, when we were 12, we had that technology and you could connect to people around the world. And
Yeah.
there was value in that. There was really big value. You could share ideas. You could discuss current topics that are happening around the world. And as new as TikTok feels, we did the same thing as we was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So you know, I think a lot of people who are regulating it need to keep that in mind as well. It's not as new as we like to think it is.
What about the addiction aspect? I mean, something that really bothers me personally is just seeing children, even not just you, children specifically, just all on their iPads, all on their phones.
iPad babies.
Yeah, rather than actually playing. They will be playing and they'll be enjoying themselves, but they won't be playing with each other.
Yeah, it's
Do you,
true,
do you feel that we're kind of losing out on this social element?
And losing out on their attention span growth.
And the attention span as
That's the big
well.
one.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
Yes, like I fully agree with this statement. Like they're losing everything, like the social element of things. They don't know how to actually interact with people. So yes, but where is this addiction coming from? Like with children, most of the time, it depends on the parents.
Yes.
It's not just the child itself.
Absolutely.
Of course.
You know, so we need to bring the parents part of this forum talk, even with the EU, because they are a big part of it. I'm at a restaurant. I see a whole table, the parents, both of them are on their phone, and the child is on her iPad, you know? So,
Surprise.
exactly. And it's not a surprise anymore, you know? Like, it's just there, like, it has become something that everyone is accustomed to it, and it's really bad. Like, for example, I can speak about my personal views on this. My cousin has a child and she's 5, and she always gave her activity books, like different things, and she works as well. So she finds time to teach her child how to actually enjoy life outside that phone, you know? And then if she wants to actually see a video of Paw Patrol, I don't know.
For sure.
Yeah, of course. But there's a time and a time. And you need to teach your child how to actually do certain things and how to interact, you know? So it's...
A lot of these children are going to have short attention spans. And if they don't have their screen, anxiety.
For sure.
You know, we throw a tantrum, start crying as well. And we're seeing this as well. Like behavior is changing. Children are more apt to anger because when they were 1, 2, 3, 4, give them the iPhone, give them the iPad, and just let them go.
And you're isolating them. Like, that is the thing. Like, not even your parents speaking to you like 24/7, you know?
Yeah.
So I think we need to work on this more. And it was really interesting on the publication of the online safety of the European Commission. Part of it, if you see, you go on the website, they have this document. It's just a 1-pager. And it's what parents have to do when it comes to social media and their children.
Good.
So it's actually going into different aspects. It's just like 6 like paragraphs on what they can do, but it is really good to actually it's just on the website on the European Commission, and it's just a 1-pager, and then they did as well for children and teens. So it's like they
Do
are
you remember some of the key points?
one of them was to actually like take time off from their phones for children, like not always to keep them on their phones. So that was the main one. And also how they can actually customize and constrain their restrain their usage.
Okay.
Because you know there's a button that you can, like as a teen, you know that you can actually remove it, and that's what they're doing.
Parental control.
That's why the European Union is the European Commission is calling for companies to regulate better and actually do these type of websites for children, and that's calling upon Meta, because just by a push of a button, like everyone can actually like remove that.
Parental controls,
yeah, exactly. So I think it's really good for parents to actually start more like with digital literacy and all this.
This is another debate. I don't know if you're following. I mean, Ricky Caruana is really pushing it quite a lot about hate speech in inverted commas, and whether the government should really take a stronger stance in clamping down on certain comments on social media, whether the police should take a more active role. What's your take on this? I mean, has it become too much of a free-for-all, or is this a freedom of speech argument?
So when it comes to social media and us and people going like, are you being served, you know? I'm going to take that as an example. Like most Maltese people think that they can write anything that they want and there will be no consequences. I think...
There won't be consequences though, right?
But there have been
If you write anonymously, I mean,
anonymously, you cannot, but you can actually see the IP address of that person if you actually investigate it and the police come into the story. I do believe that they can be actually, like, they can be found. I think I'm not that well versed on this topic, even KNZ. We've gone into hate speech, but obviously on a certain level, on like certain things that have happened in past years before I was in KNZ. But I do believe that as it is right now, in certain cases, it's working. And like people are getting like consequences on it, but it's not for everyone. I know that there were some past cases that they got fined in court. So, but I know it wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
And there's many things happening. And a lot of people think that they can take control because they're just like hiding behind their screens and that there will be no consequences.
So there should be fines for things that you say on Facebook or Instagram. If you
Of course, why not? As in, there, like, you don't know how that's going to affect that person, you know? So we've seen some research that some hate speech affects people really badly, that they commit suicide, for example. So there is a big consequences. Like,
yeah,
to
I mean,
this.
obviously the problem is that, and I've seen this from experience, is, you know, you end up piling the police with all of this stuff, and, you know, the police who actually got into the police force to actually investigate crime end up with a whole desk full of social media comments. Oh, he called me a clown. He makes fun of he said I look ugly. This person came out in favor of abortion. They're promoting murder. There's also this person is against it. There's all sorts of things, and I just see it as a real waste of police resources, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that sound like you should have them on paper, and then when you implement it, it's misused.
Yeah.
I think you know, in our time covering the news, we saw a lot of people taken to court for comments that are arguably inoffensive, but someone took offense, reported them to the police, and next thing you know, someone's getting dragged to court. So I see what you're saying. You know, you do want to protect minorities. You do, if someone's sensitive and maybe at risk of losing their life or whatever, you want to protect them. But I think the point Tim is trying to make is that a lot of the times they're taken completely out of context.
Yeah.
It's just used, I don't like you, you said something, I'm like, boom,
And they're
quote that, call the police are at your house. It's nearly a form of swatting
Yeah,
in a weird way.
In a way,
But it's one of those weird things that's kind of like, you don't realize it until you see it. In Malta, if you go to someone in the street and you call them a clown, can the police be called on you?
It depends. I mean, if you just call him a clown, it depends on the matter in which
Or
they
you
do.
call them ugly or whatever?
I know if you call them Lily, you'll be fined.
Oh, that's true. Actually.
That's a very good point, actually. So there are really like kind of standards, but it's one of those slippery slope things, right? Like, is Lily fine and what isn't? Is Bobby fine? You know what I mean? Lily, no, but it's one of those weird things.
Obviously, with social media, I mean, it's obvious that people say things that they will never say face to face. I mean, it's happening. Like now, there's this whole phenomenon of what they call it, vice signaling, right? People
Virtue signaling.
There's virtue signaling and there's vice signaling, which is the opposite. Yeah. It's like virtue signaling, but rather than showing like what a hero you are, it's showing what a nasty person you are, just so then people can then call you out, and then you can gain traction from that.
It's rage baiting in.
Yeah, exactly. yes.
Wow. That's a good one.
Yeah,
Okay.
vice signaling. But anyway, like they wouldn't do that in face to face. It's just in fact they'll actually, it's just an online thing, right? So there's this kind of difference between the online and the physical as well, even though
Again, because they don't know the consequences,
exactly it.
They don't see everything, so
That's it.
yeah.
So I don't know if you saw, but the former rector of the university said that assignments have become completely obsolete because of ChatGPT and AI tools. Have assignments become obsolete?
So as KNZ, we did not agree with the statement that the extractor has made, because even being a student myself and most people in KNZ, I don't think assignments have become obsolete because of ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is the main culprit, you know. We don't use Copilot or like Claude or any, it's always ChatGPT that we hear about at university. The thing is this, like, obviously AI is going to keep on developing, but what's the issue here? We need to make assignments more for what we have now. And that, like, critical thinking, understanding exactly what you're writing about. I know it's going to be difficult to go back to books because obviously you have everything in front of you with information, and ChatGPT is making it easier to actually get that information, but you can utilize AI to help you as a tool. And you're not using, obviously, there are certain students that are not using it well, and they just write their essay title and they just input that. And that is the main problem. Why? Because ChatGPT is creating certain footnotes. There's this word exactly, the hallucinated footnotes, if I'm not mistaken, they call it. And it's just hallucinated because they don't exist. So that's how they're getting, like, they're picking on them.
These
and
cases happened as well. So then, the
Yes.
lecturers would then ask the students, like,
Exactly,
"Oh,
because-
what's this footnote?" And
It does not exist because ChatGPT is hallucinating footnotes. So that is where everything is coming from, you know. But obviously, as KNZ, we saw that we need to make assignments more on what's happening now, and they need to be changed. Sometimes you're not challenged in assignments, or else they're too repetitive and they're the same titles as previous years, or else you're not using your mind, it's just paraphrasing from a website or a journal. And still, even if you're paraphrasing yourself, you're not being challenged. So that is one part of it. Also, with the institutional AI policies, obviously, university has an institutional AI policy.
what does it say?
Tell you the truth, I don't know a lot of information about it, but they already have it set in place, and they fully understand that AI is not 100% credible. It's like 99%. So there's that 1% chance that it's not AI. If I'm not mistaken, it's within the policy. If I'm mistaken, I apologize on this. But they do have a policy. So what do we need to do now? AI is changing all the time, as I already said. So that policy has to be changed all the time on what's happening, you know? So I know...
Continuously updated.
Continuously, exactly. I know that it was updated like not long ago,
That's
but
the
it
point.
needs to be constantly updated because everything is changing rapidly. So that is another part, and also training. It's not only about the student getting training, but it's the educator as well. Because now what's happening? AI is becoming perfect.
Yeah.
As in, let's face it, you wouldn't see the difference between an AI prompt and a person writing that, like, actual same information. As in, I've heard about some people getting accused they used AI, but they didn't use AI. And like, so if we're losing that type of, that you can actually see the difference between them, the university needs to see this, and even other institutions. So it's not only the University of Malta, it's all institutions. So I think that is a big part, like training and also digital literacy. At the end of the day, I think students have to learn, educators need to learn. Digital literacy is the main thing that we don't have enough of. And we need to stop scaring people from using these tools, because that is the main thing, that they, you know, don't use it or else you're going to be caught, you know? It's not about that.
To a certain extent, though, I mean, what you're saying is correct, but the problem for me is this issue in terms of assignment, and not just for university, to be fair. It's even sixth form, it's even secondary school. I mean, nowadays, you give us a student homework, they will just dump it into ChatGPT. Okay, you can. It won't necessarily be perfect, but will be good enough. You can even give it prompts to make it even less perfect, sometimes make it less obvious, and you just hand it in, and there's zero learning going on here. So it's just literally defeating the purpose. All we're doing is overloading these data centers for absolutely no reason whatsoever, because the teachers are probably using ChatGPT to correct them as well. So what the hell, what on earth are we doing? What's the point? Something needs to change, right?
Yeah, that's true. And in reality, the more prompts you write, you're wasting water, first things first. As in, let's not forget about the climate issue here. But it's not only about that, it's also how you're taking time to do all those prompts. And the same time that you're taking to do those prompts, you can actually read something and write it to yourself. You know, so, and also it's how you're saying, Tim, you're right on this. As in, we're losing everything. Like, how well versed are these children that are doing this? Like, what are they going to do now that when they grow up? As in, I know AI will stay with us, we don't know what's going to happen, but still, it's not like, I think it has to come from, again, the parents seeing. I know it's really difficult sometimes to monitor your kids. I know my parents found it difficult, I think, with me as well, and to sit down and do my homework. But still, it's about, if you have a child, it's a responsibility. And with the world that we're living in now, we need to look at our children and even teens, because sometimes when you become of a certain age, like 13 and upwards, it's like you don't know which road you're going to take. So a lot of big things are happening. And again, education is one of the main important things, and with AI and everything, it's, I don't know, it's...
Are youths concerned that AI will take the jobs that are waiting for them?
We always use this phrase, taking the jobs. I think we need to understand more, and it's something that the National Skills Council is working on using AI with your job. Why? Because it's going to help with productivity. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's research on this, that is going to help with your productivity, on how you work. Obviously, it's not in every job, but I know that in the healthcare, they're looking into it, in education, on more, because it's being used a lot. So I don't think it takes jobs, because jobs are just, I don't know, isn't, in my opinion, yes, we're seeing a decline in employment rates outside of Malta, and even like in Malta, with statistics, there was that when someone graduates, they find a job, not right away, but it's quite of a high rate that you'll find a job, not like outside. But I don't think that AI will take our jobs. Yes, certain jobs, yes, but I think it's how we will adapt with it by time.
And apart from jobs, you know, there's a rise in people using ChatGPT as partners, as a therapist, in lieu of their mom, dad, brother, sister, best friend. If you go on YouTube, once again, there's a lot of cases of ChatGPT hallucinations. You know, one guy did a whole documentary where he ends up in the middle of a desert just by following ChatGPT's advice. Are you seeing this with youths? Are people using ChatGPT as their therapist, as their best friend? And if so, is that a problem for their social skills?
I think they're using it due to the fact that they might see that therapy might be expensive, which I don't understand, because then there are other avenues that you can go to. For example, at university, there are like 10 free social well-being that you can go to, for example, for free. So you don't need to actually go to those, like go to ChatGPT and asking it. But if I'm not mistaken, when you prompt it that way, ChatGPT will be like, you first have to seek a therapist. No, it does not. Okay, not anymore. I thought it was saying that.
It'll be your girlfriend. It'll be your boyfriend.
Okay, so it's doing. But before it was, no, I remember.
I
There was a
think there
time
are
it
ways
used
you
to
can
be
get
like
around
seek.
it, right?
You can.
You can say something like, in theory, what would you say, or something?
So obviously, then in theory, it will, like, hypothetically, it will give you.
There's a rise of cases of people who end up going a bit crazy because ChatGPT will tell them, like, you are smarter than everyone else, or you are a special person, or you're a bit different from everyone else, or even things like God chose you. I think we're going to see things like schizophrenia-like symptoms arising in people who use ChatGPT and really believe in what it's saying. So this is something else. We mentioned the rise, because people talk about jobs. ChatGPT is going to take our job. AI is going to take our jobs. I think we should be talking about our mental well-being, because I think so many people have become reliant on the voice of ChatGPT as a go-to voice whenever they have a problem, or whenever they have a question in their life, or someone said this to me in the office and should I take it bad?
Yeah.
Within 5 to 10 years, I don't know where that's going to take us.
And again, that goes back to digital literacy. Why? Because they cannot understand that that is just a tool.
Yes. They think
And
it's
that
like
is
nearly a person.
Exactly. They're treating it as a person. Like, that is a tool made by a person. There's an algorithm
And not just
behind
any person,
it.
Sam Altman. So let's be clear.
So I think people need to understand that they're not speaking to a human, but they're speaking to a chatbot. And what you feed it, it will give you back. So if it sees that you're giving it certain information, obviously it's going to mirror what you want it to actually say. So I think that is like, I don't know, like, people cannot actually differentiate between a real therapist and like ChatGPT, which is crazy in my
scary.
opinion. It's very scary because, yes, you said.
And Claude as well, and Copilot.
Exactly, I'm just ChatGPT.
It's the Hoover of the AI.
Exactly.
What's the biggest lie that adults believe about the Gen Z and Gen Alpha generations?
I think it's as I said before, the youths and like Gen Z, Gen Alpha and everything, they know what they're doing on social media.
Good one.
I think that is the best one, because no one knows what's happening, even me. Sometimes I'm on social media. Okay, I remember a time without social media and now. And like, sometimes my parents are like, oh, you know everything, like, tell me what to do. And like, so it's, I don't know. I think that's the biggest.
So just to start closing off, I've been seeing some videos of it's in the UK, right, where they're talking about banning social media for youths.
Yeah.
And I was seeing interviews with kids, you know, like how would this affect them? If this was implemented in Malta, would Maltese youth find a way to go around the ban and still access social media?
Of course, there are unregulated platforms, and that was another thing that we spoke about as KNZ. Because if you're going like Meta, yes, it's not the best thing right now as it is, even like with the addictive design that they have, but still it's regulated.
Yeah.
Is it the best regulation that they have? Maybe not. We need to explore it more. But they will find other means. Let's face it. Whenever our parents tell us to stop doing something, we will keep on doing it. And iktar, and we'll find other ways. And that is through social media as well. So, yeah.
Now, finally, it's not really, it is about social media, but a bit more in a different direction. There was a discussion recently on how you're being served or these online communities, people complaining that the maths exams, the O-levels were too hard, that they become too difficult. Do you agree? Have O-levels become too hard?
So, this is a personal opinion. I'm going to do it as a disclaimer. I don't think exams have become too difficult. I think so each year that you're in, obviously you're going to find it difficult because you have that certain of knowledge that you need to use for your exam. So each year is going to be, because sometimes someone comes and tells you, oh, it was so difficult, and you'll be like, oh shit, I did that exam myself and it wasn't difficult. But in reality, when I was instead of them, it was difficult, So I do believe that exams are difficult, but have they become more difficult? I don't think so. And even now, how the system is, I think we need to change a little bit the system again. I think it's still a one-size-fits-all, which it should not be that way. So I don't think they have become more difficult. I think how children are being taught in schools, the syllabus, maybe. I think because it's changed a lot from my time. So I think we need to go back to that more than saying that they have become more difficult. Also, certain assessments, like the assessment tools that they're using at schools, I remember we used to have a lot of exams. I know they're tedious, they're not the best thing to have. But in reality, it's like you're all the time learning. Was it the best system? I don't know. But now they have more like assessments, like assignments, I don't know, when you're young. And like you're not being that, challenged. And I think we need to challenge our children more because nowadays a lot of things have become a little bit easier, not easy, but easier. So I think we need to challenge people more. So yeah.
I think that's a very good way to close it off. We need to challenge our children more, a little bit against the common grain of thought perhaps, but something that I probably do agree with as well. Cherise, thank you very much.
Thank you.